Hello, welcome to another episode of Wealthy Minds Decoded. As I put away my phone because I missed when we were starting the recording. But anyway, that's good. My name is Minesh Bindi and
I'm Andy Shaw.
Okay.
Welcome to come along. Happy to see. Welcome. Let's start this again.
No. This is good. Let's leave it in. This is good. This is. And we've got our.
Right, we've just had a discussion about the fact that in the last show we realised that
we're recording at the same place,
and
so.
most of the time, if you looked in that section of the thing, you'll be seeing Pete behind going. And all that sort of thing.
So you guys could go and watch that back.
Look at the old videos, and I think my daughter was in the last show, and Pete gets up to go to the loo and all that sort of thing. Anyway,
it's all entertainment.
We've moved
That's on top of all the content.
Yeah, we've moved our director a little bit further over so that this doesn't happen next time.
Especially as he keeps wearing the same thing over and over again and scratching parts that we don't want to see.
Well, today we have got quite an audience. We've got obviously Pete doesn't count as the audience, but we've got my son David. Say hello, David.
Hello.
And my daughter Sarah. Want to say hello, Sarah?
Hello.
And we're joined by two cats, Stampy and Cookie Monster, and Fluffy the rabbit. So we got an audience today.
And so you just don't acknowledge your wife then?
My wife is sitting over in the far side of the room.
Hello.
There we go.
Right, so we've got a bit of an audience today. Okay, over to you.
Right. What a great show.
No, Sarah, we don't want to talk to you now. We want to talk to everybody else. So,
yes, be careful, Minesh. There's some tumbleweed blowing in your direction.
That was a bad joke. That was a really bad joke. Anyway, we should. I think Pete should do a joke podcast, shouldn't he? Really? Right.
German, mate.
Sure. That's what it is. Right. That's what it is. Right. Now, so this show is we're talking about something that really, again, annoys both of us, and we see it in every unsuccessful poor mindset that we come across. So in part one, we're gonna again talk about what separates these two mindsets, so you can clearly identify, which mindset you've got and how to adapt to the right one, which is a wealthy mindset. So Pete, what are we talking about in part one?
Well, today in part one of the show, guys, we're going to be talking about. Let me just quickly have a quick look at this. We're going to be talking about.
You're a class act, mate.
Yeah, well, I just thought.
I don't know. We'd be lost without you.
That you left hanging around from about 8 shows back.
That's a load of rubbish. Anyway, get on with it.
But anyway, we're going to cover criticising people. See the way I led into that? Where you criticised me.
It was a
You're
great.
evil people.
It was a perfect join, mate.
It was good, wasn't
Seamless.
it? Criticising people opposed to complimenting them.
I think people now understand what type of people I have to work with. I think these people are going to be sorry for me. Right. Criticising people. Right. So,
well, I don't know a lot about criticising people, so.
Yeah, of course you don't. Of course you don't. Not for the last year and a half, but before that, you've got a wealth of experience.
I have got a bank of knowledge that I can call on.
Just a little bank of knowledge.
I used to be a world-class expert taking people apart with a look.
Yeah, so you finished.
Yeah, it's criticising people opposed to complimenting them.
Wow, this is just deep stuff. I mean, in all honesty, this really annoys us because I think when you have the ability to spot something wrong in someone, I think what you're really doing is spotting something wrong in yourself and having to judge that. And I think it's something that you personally need to deal with. And then when you criticize, as soon as you see people criticize somebody else, it tells you a lot about themselves. That's the way I look at it. What do you think?
It's a value thing to me. To me, it's quite simple. What value is there in me criticising? Right? It's like a case of when I see somebody doing something wrong. Sometimes I slip into unconsciousness and I'll start to criticise. Right? So as soon as I catch myself making the foolish error that I've just made, I retract from it and I go back and I go, right, okay, how can I support them? How can I help them to get out of this situation? Or should I even be getting involved? But basically, I want to avoid criticising as much as possible. However, throwing the opposite side of it, the complimented side on it, I want to look for as many ways possible to throw that in, because I'm then seeding compliments, right? And I'm seeding compliments into them. I'm supporting their esteem and supporting and growing their confidence by seeding in compliments. So if I'm seeding criticism what am I creating in my mindset? Criticism. If I'm seeding compliments, what am I creating in my mindset? Compliments. So is criticism going to help me? Constructive criticism does, but we're talking about obstructive criticism, destructive if you like. So by seeding my mind into compliments and seeing the best in people and looking at, cool, that person's done this really well. I don't spend my time looking at what they're failing at other than as a way of helping them get around it. The people, some of the mindsets we've got into in the show and covered, and we've gone into depth. Some of the people have asked us to comment. Other people, it's a case of we've just analysed them because we know them.
Yeah.
And as far as I'm concerned, it's like, well, you want to help, yeah. We genuinely want to look for ways to boost them up. So it's a case of, look, when you're helping somebody, it's a case of you go, look, this is what you're doing right, this is what you're doing right, this is what you're doing right, but this is an area you need to work on. It's a case of, give them 3 compliments for the area they need to work on. It's very easy for them to see, but if you spend all your time knocking them down, you're not going to get anywhere. I mean, I'm renowned for coaching with a club hammer. I just tell people the way it is because I think, well, get it all out in the open and then let's solve the problem from there. But if it's all about, from my point of view, avoiding the mindset of criticising. Yeah, I look at it from it's always constructive. So I look at it and think, well, how can I say something that will get them to produce a better result? That's how I look at it.
Yeah, the other problem with criticising is really that you're feeding the part of your mind that that really can't see the benefit. Like you said, you're feeding a part of your mind that's designed to look for problems. So therefore, what will you attract? Problems. And so I think it's it's a virus that people have that they need to get rid of. And we're always taught right from a young age to judge things, judge people. You can't trust a stranger, all this other rubbish, right? That we get taught. And it's you might not be able to trust that person, but how do you know you can't trust all strangers? Right? Suddenly you're tiring of, you're judging people and criticizing people based on something that's a filter that's been put into your mind.
Bad programming,
yeah. So it all just stops you from attracting what you want because it puts you in a perspective of knowing what you don't want rather than knowing what you do want.
Look at any office conversation, any work conversation, any conversation in the pubs and things like that. People, if you look at it, everyone's criticising, right? Now, if on the other hand, if you get the opportunity to ever chat with a group of entrepreneurs, and even better, you get to chat with a group of successful entrepreneurs, these things don't come up. They're always talking about
when
ideas.
We have a chat over lunch, it was like, how does this idea, what perception would this idea create in the market's mind if we were to present it from this angle or this angle? That's much more valuable than talking about this person's doing this because they're trying to get this, or this person's doing that because they're trying to screw you over this way, and other things like that. It's just not worthwhile.
If on the other hand we do end up talking about somebody, it's always looking at it from the point of view of, right, okay, you're looking to compliment them. It's a case of, and I find myself, if I find myself having to say, oh, well, this person, they're doing this wrong because of this, it's a case of, I'll always throw it back and I'll say, but they've got this great mindset around this point. They need to expand that area and lower that area, and they're going to be a lot better off. It's a case of, I always look to basically see the best in people.
Yeah, I think that works. I think wealthy people just automatically, wealthy mindset just gets drawn to the good in people, and a poor mindset just gets drawn to the bad in people. It's just,
yeah,
I don't know. It's just how it is, I guess. I don't know how else to explain it. Right. So part 2 of the show, we're going to talk about what you can do.
It's gone really dark, isn't it?
It's gone really dark. Is there like lights in countryside? Do you have lights, or do you have to light up candles?
We have this thing called a sky.
Oh, right.
Right? Sky gives light.
So do you light up candles at night here? Right, yeah. I'm from London, and I'm in the countryside right now. So you wouldn't guess.
You'd think he was from India, but he's actually from London, right?
I'm actually from London, and we have lights. I don't know. Do you light up candles, or what do you do here?
Well, you can light up candles, right? The wife's asking us if we want lights on. Yeah, go on, then put the lights on. Let's see if we can brighten up the place.
What?
Oh, that's better.
There we go.
God, I'm blinded by the light now.
Go.
Okay.
Right, part 2. What you can do once you have a successful mindset. Pete.
I think it's about time you guys actually started talking about having the confidence to take action.
Okay then. So, I think once you, leaning on from what we've just talked about, criticizing people, I think once you stop criticizing people and you only look for the good in people, you start seeing the good in yourself. And what that does is that develops the confidence that you need to take the action when everyone else is saying this isn't going to work, because you only see the good. And there's nothing wrong with only seeing the good. I know a lot of people turn around and tell people, I know you only see the good in things all the time. You know, you should look at reality, face reality. No, you shouldn't face reality. At the end of the day, you know, Eleanor Roosevelt said, the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. And that is, you create your own reality in your mind.
You got that written on your hand?
No. I just remember this sort of stuff. Something about my mind.
Oh, right.
Right. So I think that's very important. When you start criticizing people, you start seeing good in things, and you start seeing good in yourself, and that allows you the confidence to take action that you wouldn't have otherwise had.
Confidence to take action. Right. Confidence is, if you want success, confidence isn't something you've got to go to get. It's something you've got to have. You've got to acquire it. It's something you acquire simply by knowing what you want and basically filling your mind with enough data to handle the next step and that sort of thing. When you've decided that what you want is going to happen, that's going to happen at some point. And then what you do is you set up gates along the way. Let's say that's where you want to be, and you're here, and there's 12 steps, 12 gates along the way. So, okay, right, I need to see how it's possible. So first off, you use your mind to see, oh yes, I could possibly get there. Well, I couldn't get there that way, but you provide examples at each of the gates of options of ways you can get there. And you can see, so you're programming your mind to be able to see that each gate that it can get through, it just might not get through the option, the one that goes straight there. It might go over to the right or go to the left and take one of the other options, and it'll jump these gates. And so what you've done is you've seeded into your mind options, ways of getting there. And what you're doing as you're doing this is you're building confidence. This is effectively how you do it anyway. This is how you've done anything. And once you can see that, oh yes, you can go from here to there, because somehow one of those gates you'll go through, and one of the steps along those gates you'll take, and it'll progress you to the next gate and the next gate and the next gate. Now, all you're doing is working up here. You haven't actually had to do anything at this stage. You're just feeding your mind with possibilities. And once it's been a possibility, therefore it can become a probability. So, you know, the more data you have on a section, let's say one of those steps in one gate, you decide, I'm going to do this by using this tool. Well, if you then go and fill your mind with as much data on that tool as, you know, let's say the tool was Facebook or something like that, you fill your mind with as much data on that tool as you can, and effectively then all of a sudden you get to the point of you don't think about confidence to act, because it's become self-evident that it'll work. Yeah, so once you've filled your mind with enough data, confidence is just something you have. You know, the problem is if you're trying to get confidence, a simple way to get confidence is to basically go and learn about it, go and understand it, and then go and take action. Because if you take action and it works, that's great. And if you take action and it doesn't work, then that's great. Because you've moved further along than you would do by not taking any action. And it's a case of each of these steps, as soon as you learn to stop seeing failure as a bad thing and you start to see failure as a good thing, then confidence becomes, you know, part of you. You know, confidence is. I never think about confidence. If you talk to any wealthy-minded person, they never talk about confidence. There isn't the word confidence doesn't exist in their vocabulary because they're just too busy doing it. Because what they've done is they've built their castle, as you know, Henry David Thoreau, I think it was, said they built their castle in the air with their mind, and then they're building the foundations under it. So they've built their castle. They know where they know where they want to go, and that's creating their confidence. So confidence isn't something you've got to get. It's something you must have. It's not something but it's a case of just know that your confidence will appear as if by magic, just by you filling your head with data, filling your head with choices, and then taking baby steps towards it.
Yeah, I think I wasn't saying anything because I think that was 100% right, and I think the problem that I've seen a lot of people go through is they replace confidence with hopefulness.
Oh yeah.
And they think them being hopeful is confident. Yeah. So they'll walk into a situation and they'll say, I'm hopeful that this is going to work, and they feel really good about themselves, and they'll go to seminars, meetings, all this other stuff. What they don't realize is that you're hopeful because you don't expect the solution to occur the way you want it to. But pure confidence is me walking into a situation knowing that I'm going to get the result that I want.
You might not get it from that situation,
but
you'll get it one of the times you do it. Hope is my least favourite word on earth, because it's a case of hope is you are stating something you lack. But
I think the way confidence is actually taught is pretty wrong, because it's taught as confidence is taught through the process of replacing fear with hopefulness. That's what people think confidence is, but it's not. Confidence is, listen, this is going to happen. Either you're on board with me or you're not.
Confidence is, can you go to the shops? Do you need to think, can I go to the shops? Confidence you do without effort.
Yep.
Confidence should be something that just, you don't think about it. You don't apply any effort to it. It just happens. It's a case of, I'm not really good at going into a new, making a new introduction to somebody, networking, that sort of thing. I can in a very close thing, but Pete...
You can when there's alcohol involved.
When there's alcohol involved, I'm very good at it. But Pete, on the other hand, will think nothing about going straight to the top of a company and working his way in and calling them 30 times on probably the worst day of the year to try and get something through. Because his confidence on it, but he doesn't think, I've got to be confident to do this.
It just is.
Does it?
It just is.
Without effort.
It just is.
And it's a case of he's a great networker where it comes to that sort of thing. And it go in at any level of business. And, as I've said previously in the show, the reason we were featured with that company on the ITV News at 9 o'clock was because of what Pete did, going in at the highest level and getting us getting the networking done. Now, there was didn't consider his confidence at all. It was an automatic process.
That's just how I am.
And because he just did it. It's one of his skill sets. So it's a case of, if you lack a confidence in that particular area, as I do, right? Because basically I'm not as good as it, and I know there's somebody else in my team that is good at it. Why would you try and do something which is very difficult to you? I try to do the things, I just do the things that are easy to me. Yeah. Pete does the things that are easy to him. Manesh does the things that are easy to him. And it's a case of confidence comes from being very, very good at, going and gathering more and more data on the things you're good at, and outsourcing. And I'm outsourcing that particular responsibility to somebody who's amply equipped to do it.
Yep, that's it. Right, so I think that was a pretty good summary on confidence and how to acquire it and how to make sure it's not fake. So let's have a look at a case study. Pete, what are we going to talk about today?
Okay, guys, this week we've got Mr. S. Mr. S has a 4 area of his mindset he'd like you to have a look at and to review for him. Okay,
cool. So this Mr. S, again, we both know this Mr. S. I've spent more time with Mr. S than you have. So from my perspective, the weakness that I can see is that this person is very, very spiritual, but that spirituality leads them to see criticism in others. I don't know how, right? But their so-called spiritual ground, whether it's high or low, right, in their heads, is leading them to look at other people in a very, very negative point of view, but not understand that process is not actually spiritual. Does that make sense to you?
I'm not as much of an expert on this person as you are.
Right.
So carry on, please.
So he, even though being spiritual, will look down on other people when spirituality actually goes. That's not the foundations of spirituality. And I find that he can, you know, I mean, you guys might just ask yourself whether you do this to people too, where you will look and make judgments on people very, very fast, with no further backing and no further basis on the actual situation, on the person, etc., etc., etc. Now, what this is doing is this is actually hindering this person from moving forward, because majority of the criticisms that are coming out of their mouth are about people that are more successful than they are. So therefore, the thing that I mean, he's amazing. He should become so successful,
yeah, absolutely,
because he'd help a lot of people. But the thing that I find is that the more he criticizes others, he's coming from a point of, you know, these people are more successful than me. I'm criticizing them, therefore I'm better than they are, because that's the only ground that you can criticize from. And therefore his mind's going to hold him back, because why would I want to become better than where I am if every person that I look at that's in a better position than I am financially, I criticize, and I think is not on a matching grounding than I am.
Yeah, he's. I mean, spiritual teachings. I'm not an expert on spiritual teachings at all. I am an anecdotal expert. People say, "Oh, well, you're supposed to be this spiritual." No, all I'm doing is I use whatever I can, whatever I've found to my advantage, and I'm a benefits-driven creature. Whereas what I noticed from the limited reading I've done on spirituality and that sort of thing is it's a case of you are to avoid judgment. There is no need to judge.
Because you are the world is a reflection of you. I mean, I've done a lot of spiritual reading.
Yeah, exactly. So sorry, carry on.
So the world is a reflection of you. So in fact, any judgment, anything that, so if there's something inside Andy that annoys me, really that's a part of me that's trying to present itself. And so to criticize somebody saying that I'm on a higher ground because I'm spiritual, it just goes completely against the spiritual teaching and the interconnectedness of the universe.
So what the issue is this guy doesn't know. It's very difficult for me to say because he's going to know. This guy doesn't know what's holding him back. And bearing in mind he is very, very well versed spiritually, it's a pretty bitter pill to swallow, I would have thought.
I think that the problem is that he gets all of his value from his spirituality and how spiritual other people see him.
Yeah. And
that holds him back because suddenly it gives him significance.
He needs
to be seen.
Yeah, he needs other people. Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah,
I
don't know that well, but yeah.
So I think this is a huge problem for you. If you're doing something and before the need of somebody else's approval,
it's like if you're going to buy a flash car, right? If you buy a flash car for yourself, that's fine. You buy a flash car because you think it'll impress other people.
Yep.
What are you doing that for?
Yep.
It's a case of it's only for yourself. When I bought my first Lamborghini, I decided to buy a purple one because I thought the colour would blend in because I didn't want to stand out, even though I wanted a Lamborghini. Obviously, I forgot to think about the 100 decibel noise that came from the engine that more or less turned everybody's heads. But it's a case of I wasn't doing it for other people. I was doing it for me. I bought all the cars for me. It's a case of because I was only interested in what I thought. I wasn't interested in what other people thought. It's not a case of that I don't care about what other people think. It's just unless their opinion has value to me.
I don't care what other people think.
Well, I don't.
I take counsel, but I don't care. I'm detached from other people's opinions.
To me, it's a case of it's not that I don't care. It's others' opinion holds no value to me.
Yeah. Alright, so we have the same meaning. We're just saying using different words.
Yeah. There's just a little bit of intent difference there, but yeah, I know what you mean.
But yeah, I mean, this person is. So just catch yourself if you're ever operating from a spiritual point of view, and then you try and put yourself on a higher grounding than others, because you can learn something from everyone.
Yeah,
right? We've learned stuff from.
I used to say I'll learn more. I used to have a manufacturing company and a home improvement business, and I used to say I loved it when a new apprentice started, because in the first few weeks of an apprentice starting, their mind was clean, and they'd look at what's going on and they'd ask obvious questions. And sometimes, not always, but very occasionally an apprentice would come out with something that was pure genius because their mind was blank. So I always looked at it from the point of view of I can learn more from those guys than I can from a guy who'd been in the business 20 years. Because it's a case of as they get towards the end of their career, they've really got wisdom going on and they really know some stuff. And at the start of the year, they're blank. So of course they're accessing their subconscious mind because they don't know anything better. So I always used to love working with a really young apprentice because they give me ideas I'd never thought of. And of course I got faster and faster at the jobs I was doing, and I made more and more money at it because I wasn't bothered about who I took advice from. It was a case of people you say to me, you've got over 100 people working for you. Why do you want to work with this 16-year-old kid? It's a case of, well, because his mind doesn't work like your minds work. His mind works completely differently. And it's if this guy is spiritual expert, if he just look at it and go, well, hang on a minute, and if he started to look at it from the point of view of, I want to criticise this person.
If he actually became spiritual.
Yeah, why do I want to criticise him? Then all of a sudden, it's going to elevate him to a level
beyond. Yeah, he'll just experience success because the rest of his mindset is on point.
Absolutely, yeah.
His go to give,
incredible stuff. Fantastic guy,
brilliant. But it's just this one little thing that's holding him back. And I think that being detached from people is pretty important as well. I think that's one thing that I have been learning over the last year is being completely detached from people, which allows you to think for yourself.
Think freely. You don't do things to please other people. You do things to please yourself.
Yeah. Right. That was a good show. On that note, we shall see you next time. Take care.
Thanks very much.
Bye bye.